Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Ling Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. In an area near Yosemite National Park, a 17,000-acre fire grew rapidly over the weekend. The governor declared a state of emergency. Various community leaders came together last week to discuss the dangers of drug injection sites. We'll hear from them about the precedent and what it means for the cities opening them. And illegal immigrants who were bused to Washington, D.C. are now going to be taken to Miami. But for many of them, their journey into the country started in California. We'll hear from Border Patrol about it. A fast-moving wildfire near Yosemite National Park burned out of control through Sunday. The fire is now considered one of California's biggest fires of the year, sitting at nearly 17,000 acres only about 2 days in.
California Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency for Mariposa County on Saturday due to the growing Oak Fire. Smoke from the blaze is visible from space. CAL FIRE said the wildfire had burned nearly 17,000 acres of forest land in an update Monday morning.
Currently, the acreage of the Oak incident is 16,791 acres and is 10% contained at this moment.
The blaze broke out on Friday in the Sierra Nevada mountain area, nearly 30 miles southwest of Yosemite National Park. Officials describe the fire as having explosive behavior, which poses a significant challenge to the over 2,000 firefighters battling the blaze.
On a fire of this magnitude, unless that fuel break is 2.5 miles wide on this one, I can't even fathom to tell you the spotting that we are seeing and the fire behavior we're seeing on this. That's why when I sit here and talk with you, I am super happy that I have no severe injuries of anyone in the public and also anyone on our fire engines.
Sierra National Forest said the Oak Fire was throwing embers out in front of itself for up to 2 miles recently. The ongoing drought and bone-dry vegetation gives the blaze exceptional fire conditions. Firefighters are at it 24 hours a day.
It's been a couple days now, so we have all the engines reaching out and trying to touch every house available, make sure there's no hidden fires around decks and wood piles, etc.
CAL FIRE says as of Monday, flames destroyed 7 residential structures and threatened over 3,000 more. Over 6,000 residents fled their homes and businesses. One family had lost their cat while trying to evacuate.
And we have a cat that likes to go outside, and so we were able to get one dog and one cat, and we had to just open the gate to let our chickens save themselves, but we couldn't find a coda.
She said her family kept praying and calling the sheriff's department, and luckily, animal control found him.
And so he is at the shelter right now. We're actually hoping to go get him right now. And so our daughter and our son are just so thrilled.
Spot fires in the mountains can be seen through a fire response aircraft on Sunday night.
You can see very active. And as we move down, we'll get to the Lima November break, which is very active. And you can see we've got some spot fires in this area and on the map.
Pacific Gas and Electric stated that over 3,100 homes and businesses have lost power. The electric company is unable to reach the affected equipment, so they are unable to determine when power will be restored. According to CAL FIRE, the cause of the fire is still under investigation, but CAL FIRE is optimistic and expects full containment by July 30th.
Organization leaders call for the state to prevent drug use rather than legalize drug use. That's what they said in a recent online conference. Their message comes as 2 drug-related bills are coming up for vote in legislation.
The California Narcotic Officers Association and the California Coalition Against Drugs held a virtual statewide press conference on Friday to address the legalization of 2 bills. Those are Senate Bill 57, which pushes for drug injection sites, and Senate Bill 519, which legalizes psychedelics. Ronit Lev, a doctor at Scripps Mercy Hospital in San Diego, says there are significant errors in the legislation. One is that harm reduction needs to be evidence-based, not experimental. She says such an experiment is already underway in places like New York.
The second error in the bill analysis is that safe injection sites have been, in quotes, extensively researched and show to reduce a plethora of health and safety risks associated with drug use. Well, in fact, there are no case-controlled studies that show increased treatment for people who use safe injection sites compared to those who do not use safe injection sites. And there are no studies showing a decrease in overall deaths to a community that has a safe injection sites.
Lev believes the law's author confused the difference between syringe exchange and safe injection sites.
Whenever you have an injection site, you have a magnet effect where dealers come into the area and they sell their drugs. And most addicts don't use the injection site very much anyway. They simply, if you're an addict and you've got your drugs and you've got your needles clean or dirty, you're going to shoot up right there in the alley. And that's what happens in injection sites all over the world. They result in a tragic increase in overdose deaths.
Lovell says SB 519 would allow sharing of hallucinogens without pre-testing or safety screening.
A woman, when she was 18 years old, without her knowledge, was given LSD by her so-called friends at a party. She didn't know about it, and they just wanted to see what would happen to her. Well, she was hospitalized for 2 months, but then thereafter, she had flashbacks after flashbacks after flashbacks. She's now in her 70s, and she still gets flashbacks.
They are urging lawmakers to vote no on the bills, saying the laws would increase mental health and homelessness problems, causing a public safety concern for residents.
It is not only the law enforcement community that must deal with the unintended consequences of misguided laws. It is our friends and our families, our businesses, and our communities. Currently, in Southern California, businesses like Starbucks and 7-Eleven are changing their hours or closing their doors because of out-of-control, drug-addicted predators.
They pointed out that California has a $97.5 billion surplus, suggesting that some of that money can be used on drug treatment and genuine drug prevention. The bills are on their way towards a final vote this year. If passed, it goes to the governor to sign into law.
Over 1,000 people died crossing the U.S.-Mexico border since President Biden took office. That's more than twice as many as the same time frame under then-President Trump. Many factors make the journey harder and more dangerous than some might think. Here are the details.
The U.S. is seeing a record number of illegal border crossings so far this year. More than 1.7 million people have crossed as of June, and the fiscal year is not over yet. A Customs and Border Protection Division chief says migrants imagine the journey to be easier than it really is.
This mass migration issue is this group of people coming over here. They're not told how bad it can really be. They think it's just as simple as coming over. You're here and you're free and it's easy to go, and it doesn't work that way. And that's where we get into the injuries and the unfortunate casualties, across the entire southwest border. It's not just coming off of a piece of infrastructure. It's coming across a harsh terrain. They could fall anywhere in the mountainous terrains that we have across the southwest borders as well. Plus we have we have a lot of water issues where the rivers, they have to cross the rivers. Those are always traumatic that we have there. So they have to come across that as well.
Last year was the deadliest for migrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. The United Nations recorded almost 730 fatalities. The UN started keeping track of that number in 2014. Deaths in Arizona last year were the highest in 4 decades, according to local medical examiners. And in California, a San Diego hospital is seeing an increase in a specific type of injury.
So the injuries that we're seeing and what we're really seeing the increase are patients that are falling from the border wall between the Mexican and the United States border, and they're falling directly into San Diego County, jumping over the border fence itself.
In some sections, the wall is as high as a 3-story building. Rescues by border agents along the southwest border have topped 14,000 since the start of the 2022 fiscal year. That's more than what were recorded during the entire 2021 fiscal year.
We are receiving approximately about 16 calls a day, every single day, 911 calls.
According to the UN, this year's death toll is on track to be as bad or worse than last year's record-breaking toll. In response to the influx, Texas Governor Greg Abbott in April started sending buses filled with illegal immigrants to Washington, D.C. Now, a newly surfaced email shows an official of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, saying illegal migrants who had no family to pick them up in D.C. will be put on a train to Miami. It was obtained by the Heritage Foundation through a Freedom of Information Act request. The email was introduced as a quick update from FEMA. The email states, for this first drop, some were picked up by family members and the rest will be put on a train to Miami. Many illegal immigrants who were bused from Texas don't want to stay in D.C., but plan to travel to Florida or New York City.
We are going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we've got for you when we come back. Los Angeles County Health Director was seen maskless at a major public event last week. That wouldn't be a big deal if she wasn't suggesting mask mandates may return to the county before month's end. Apple says it wants to make CarPlay available in all cars. What's supposed to bring convenience to drivers by connecting their phone to their vehicles is also causing a stir by requiring data collection. We'll have a look at that. And those dipping gas prices that drivers may have noticed aren't a fluke. They have been trending downward for over a month now. But California is still leading the nation in high prices. That and more on California Today. Days after announcing concerning COVID transmission rates in Los Angeles County, the County Health Department director was spotted maskless at Dodger Baseball Stadium on Tuesday. NTD's Jason Blair has the story.
A video is circulating on social media showing LA County Health Director Barbara Ferrer at Tuesday's Major League All-Star Baseball game without a mask on. Some people are calling her out because last week she made an announcement that COVID transmission rates are currently high in LA County. She suggested that a universal mask mandate will return at the end of the month.
If we do remain in the high community level for the next 2 weeks, indoor masking, beginning on July 29th, would expand to include all indoor spaces, including shared office spaces, manufacturing facilities, retail stores, and at indoor events. Indoor areas of restaurants and bars, children's programs, and educational settings would also need to institute universal indoor masking as well.
After this announcement, the chief medical officer at the Los Angeles County and University of Southern California Medical Center said in a town hall meeting that the COVID rates aren't as concerning as they are being made out to be.
The numbers at LAC COVID positive tests have continued to go up, but this isn't because we're seeing a ton of people with symptomatic disease getting admitted. If you go to the bottom graph, it's the same thing. We're seeing a lot of people with mild disease in urgent care or ED who go home and do not get admitted.
Ferrer is also being questioned for a conflict of interest involving her daughter, who co-authored a study on masking effectiveness. According to conservative media website Red State, the study was cited by the CDC and used as a basis for school mask mandates in LA and many states.
I had nothing to do with that study. I didn't review that study. I actually didn't see that study until recently.
There's also a Change.org petition calling for Ferrer's removal over her masking policies, claiming that there is zero scientific justification. Jason Blair, NTD News, California.
Apple CarPlay is the automotive software that connects your car with your iPhone. But the new update in CarPlay that navigates you to a fuel station and also allows you to play through the car's dashboard requires personal data collection. And that leaves some car makers with a dilemma. NTD's Sean Marshall has more details.
Let me show you how it works. It's super simple.
Apple wants their car system CarPlay in as many cars as possible. But some car makers are not in a rush to hand over their customers' personal data to a third party and possibly missing out on potential revenue from a growing industry. There's also a concern that Apple may be using the app to conceal their market share position in the car industry. Apple has filed 248 patents since the year 2000 in self-driving and other vehicle software, as well as in hardware related to riding comfort. Herbert Diess, CEO of Volkswagen, isn't so sure that Apple will be able to get a car to the market.
But what they for sure will try to get the user interface in the car. Now, because the user interface will mean that you get the customer data, you get the ecosystem from home into the car, and you get the experience in the car. This is what they're aiming.
A car can generate about 25 gigabytes of data every hour and as much as 4,000 gigabytes a day, according to some estimates. The McKinsey consulting firm has estimated that the treasure chest of data in the hands of car makers could be worth as much as $750 billion by 2030.
We'll give Craig full access.
Face ID authenticates the car key.
After Californians have spent months leading the nation in suffering at the gas station, prices are finally beginning to drop. Prices in Southern California have continued to drop for 40 days in a row so far.
According to AAA, California's nation-high gas prices are finally starting to go down. The average gas prices in Los Angeles County have dropped to $5.78, the lowest amount since April. This is a 67-cent decrease over the past 40 days. Orange County's average price has also been falling. Gas prices have dropped 71 cents since rising to a record $6.41 on June 12th. The recent drop followed national trends of decreasing prices at the pump. But gas prices in Southern California still sit higher than those across the nation. The national average is $4.36, almost $1.50 lower than California's $5.73 average. San Francisco sits slightly above LA at $5.80 per gallon. That's down from $6.46 1 month ago. Prices in neighboring Silicon Valley fell by a similar amount. Meanwhile, California's gas tax recently increased by almost 3 cents a gallon. This scheduled increase hits consumers every year on July 1st. Daniel Hall, NTD News, California.
Anyone driving down a freeway may see a new kind of alert to watch out for. Yellow alerts will now be updated to freeway signs to track down hit-and-run drivers. Here's the information that will be displayed and how the law came to be.
Governor Gavin Newsom signed the yellow alert bill into law, allowing a suspected hit-and-run vehicle's license plate to be displayed on freeway signs. Newsom signed the bill into law last week, and it will go into effect starting January 2023. According to ABC 30, Don Elliott worked with Republican Assemblyman Jim Patterson to make the alert into law. Elliott has worked with the Assemblyman on the law after her 65-year-old mother was killed in a hit-and-run crash in July 2020. The alerts are expected to help track down hit-and-run drivers more quickly. Patterson previously authored a bill to close a loophole for hit-and-run drivers, but it died in the Assembly. According to ABC 30, he plans to reintroduce the bill next January.
Home sales in California reached their lowest level in June since the Great Recession. But home prices still went up in some counties, and the mortgage interest rate doubled. Affordability is driving people away from popular parts of the state.
According to the California Association of Realtors, home sales in California reached their lowest level in June since 2008. The low sales come as mortgage rates soar. Association Vice President and Chief Economist Jordan Levine said the trend can be expected for the coming months. 6 counties in Southern California dropped more than 20% in sales. Year-to-year home sales in Orange County declined the most. In terms of month-to-month home sales, Riverside County saw the largest decrease from May to June. On the other hand, San Bernardino County saw growth in home sales in June with the lowest house prices in Southern California. Rene Jimenez, a Southern California broker, said affordability drives people toward the Inland Empire, including San Bernardino and Riverside. According to loan buyer Freddie Mac, the interest rates for both 15- and 30-year mortgages have roughly doubled since last year. William Yu, an economist at UCLA, said home prices may not fall as much as during the Great Recession, adding that a, quote, imbalance between supply and demand exists in the housing market.
Now let's check in with NTD's Thomas Christian for the Sports Roundup.
I'm Thomas Christian. This is your California Today Sports Roundup.
Positive signs coming out of the Padres organization today, as it is reported that Fernando Tatis Jr. took batting practice over the weekend, another step in his recovery after suffering a wrist injury in the offseason from a motorcycle accident. Tatis Jr. had started hitting in a cage before the All-Star break, and now taking batting practice out in the field is a positive sign of his recovery. The Padres star shortstop looks to still be at least a week away from returning from the 60-day injury list. With the Padres currently in second place, Tatis Jr. returning to the lineup could help San Diego make the late season run they need to put a bit more pressure on the first place Dodgers. Jake Lamb drove in the go-ahead run with a 7th inning double, while Gavin Lux and Tracy Thompson each drove in 2 runs as the Los Angeles Dodgers finished off a 4-game sweep of the visiting San Francisco Giants with a 7-4 victory on Sunday. Lamb, Lux, and Thompson each drove in runs in the 7th inning against the Giants' right-hander Tyler Rogers to break a 4-4 tie. The Dodgers increased their winning streak to a season-high 8 games despite getting just 4 1/3 inning out of all-star left-hander Clayton Kershaw. The National League best Dodgers won for the 15th time in their last 16 games and for the 19th time in their last 21 contests. Darren Ruff hit a 2-run home run, and Tyler Estrada drove in 2 runs for the Giants, who fell to 0-6 at Dodger Stadium this season. San Francisco had gone into the All-Star break winning 5 of 6 games. Dodgers 7, Giants 4. Reed Detmers pitched 5 shutout innings, and visiting Anaheim ended its 5-game losing streak with a win over Atlanta. Detmers was able to effectively change speed and location to quiet an Atlanta offense that had scored 15 runs in the previous 2 games of the series. The left-hander allowed 3 hits and 2 walks and struck out 6 in his first career appearance against the Braves. Anaheim had 13 hits on Sunday. Taylor Ward and Max Stassi each had 3, Luis Rengifo and Joe Adell each added 2. Stassi had a double, a triple, and 3 RBIs. The losing pitcher was Ian Anderson, who was knocked out after pitching 3+ innings. He allowed 7 runs on 8 hits, walking 3 and striking out 2. Angels 9, Braves 1. Pete Alonso ripped a 3-run homer to left center field to erase a 1-run deficit and ignite a 5-run 6th inning as host New York defeated San Diego. Luis Guillermo and Tomas Nido contributed RBI hits in the inning, and Alonso added an RBI double in the 7th as the Mets avoided being swept in the 3-game series. They also increased their lead in the NL East to 1.5 games over the Atlanta Braves. Padres starter Joe Musgrove pitched out of a major jam in the 5th inning, but didn't survive the 6th. Starling Marte singled and Francisco Lindor doubled, putting runners at 2nd and 3rd with no outs for the 2nd straight inning. But while Musgrove got 3 groundouts to end the 5th unscathed, he surrendered a 425-foot no-doubter to Alonso 1 frame later. Mets 8, Padres 5. Adolis Garcia had a home run among 4 hits, Jonah Heim collected 3 doubles, and left-hander Martin Perez coasted through 7 innings as visiting Texas salvaged 1 win in its 3-game series against Oakland. Leody Taveras joined Garcia and Heim with at least 3 hits, notching a double and 2 singles as part of the Rangers' 16-hit assault on A's All-Star Paul Blackburn and 2 relievers. Perez limited Oakland to 1 run and 4 hits, walking 3 and striking out 6. The A's made the final score a little more respectable by scoring 7 runs in the last 2 innings. A 4-run 8th featured a 2-run double by Chad Pinder and a 2-run homer by Stephen Piscotty. Sean Murphy, Pinder, and Tony Kemp launched consecutive solo shots in a 3-run 9th. Rangers 11, A's 8.
That's all for California sports. Back to you.
That's all for tonight. You can join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. If you have any news tips or ideas for our show, or just want to let us know how we're doing, our email is california.today@ntd.com. I'm Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.